The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in beautiful Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now, if you would like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. And for all the broadcast schedules that we have for the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. And for the broadcast schedule of the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV, you have to go to www.simultv.com. My guest this hour is a gentleman I've had the pleasure of having on the show and meeting in person. His name is Richard Sennett. And Richard is a world-renowned paranormal author, lecturer, and investigator who has appeared on television specials and numerous internet videos speaking on the subject of the paranormal. He is also famous for his ghost stories, and some original and many recounted from locals who heard them from their ancestors. His website, www.richardsennett.com. And Richard, welcome back to the X Zone. Always great having you with us, my friend.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
So what have you been up to since you and I last talked? And that's going back to November of last year.
Well, right now I'm involved in writing a new book. Of course, I'm always writing a new book. This is called The Ghosts of XZRS, California. And it's the largest city in Ventura County, California, where I live. And it has quite a number of ghostly lore. And I'd always wanted to write this book. But, you know, I couldn't get the publishers interested in it. I couldn't do it. Finally, I said, okay, I said I was going to write it. I'll just sit down and we'll put it all together. And it's getting more and more massive. I think I've got it done, and I'll get some more stories about phantom figures, strange curses, bizarre accounts, some of which may well be folklore, but more than a few, I think, are real ghosts.
Wow. Richard, how many books have you written to date?
Well, that's a big question there. How many I have written or how many I have had published? There's a difference between them.
Yeah.
Written, it's about 75. Published, it's about 27.
Wow, 27 books. And I would imagine they're all available on Amazon.com?
Most of them are on Amazon.com. Some are long out of print, and they're not available except if you can get one through the Internet some way. I saw one of my books for sale on the Internet now at $650 a copy.
My gosh.
Yeah, I'm good. I said, oh, wait, I should have charged more for it. But it's out of print, so you have a choice. You can buy that book or not. It's a biography of the murder mystery writer Earl Stanley Gardner, whom I met here in Ventura, where he lived and worked for a while. And, you know, the place that really bought those biographies of Gardner was a store in Toronto, Canada.
You're kidding.
Called, what was it, the Black Falcon or something like that. It just sold murder mystery books. And I sent them a copy, and they said, yes, we like it. We'll take 12. So I sent them 12. And then about 2 weeks later, they said, oh, we'd like 3 boxes.
Holy cow. Well,
and so I sent them. And so it was, it sold quite well in Canada. For some reason, it didn't sell that well here in the United States.
Well, it just goes to show that Canadians really appreciate the great work that you do, Richard.
Oh, thank you.
Richard, are we any closer to understanding what a ghost is than all the different years of speculation that researchers like yourself have been doing?
Not really. I don't think so. I think we've done a lot of wild goose chases. Mm-hmm. We've seen things, and we thought that would be an answer. And we've traveled that path and found out it was a dead end.
Oh, gosh.
So we get a lot of them have taken place. In fact, a lot of our electronic tools, which we hoped would once and for all answer the question of ghosts, have proven to be anything but, and have not gone the way it should. It's kind of like Dr. Thelma Moss, who I had the good pleasure of working with. Great lady, by the way. It's too bad she's gone. She wrote about Kirlian photography,
right,
and thought that it might be the answer to what ghosts are, the phantom leaf concept and all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she wrote a book on it. She did all the study and found out it was a dead end. It didn't promise what it should have. And I think there's a lot of dead ends out there that people are going towards, and so far we're back almost to square one that we were, in the 1960s.
Wow. Richard, is it possible, not unlike SETI, that we are using the science and the experience and the knowledge that we have amassed through humans instead of looking outside of the box?
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. In fact, in many ways, the older techniques used in the 1920s probably were more valid than what we're doing today. Even though we were able to gain a lot more data on things electronically, I don't think we're getting the key point to it. I think ghosts are much more complicated than we think. It could very well be linked to so many other elements, such as interdimensional bleed-throughs, time warps, so we're picking up images and sounds from the past, retrocognition.
Right.
So many different elements out there. And now with all of our electronic equipment, going into a house with computers and all, it makes you wonder what you're picking up. Is it a ghost or is it the guy's laptop?
Right.
So it's something we have to really be careful about. It's kind of like our sister study of UFOs.
Yes.
Now with all of the drones people have and helicopters in the night sky, how can you tell if it's something from another world, or it could be space junk, or it could be some drone flying by? So it's really hard to we've kind of messed things up with these advancements that we have.
Richard, many researchers who investigate ghosts and other paranormal activity believe that when a person dies, the energy or their soul leaves the body, and this is what the essence of a ghost is. But my question to you as an expert in paranormal investigations, how would the energy that is escaping the body at time of death be able to maintain a shape or a figure that could be recognized as a person?
Maybe it's not. It could be that it's nothing more than a memory, maybe in the form of a sphere.
Right.
And when we encounter that energy trace, we provide the image. It actually works upon our brains and causes us to hallucinate the image of the ghost. So it may not even actually be a physical figure that you can photograph or record in any fashion. It could very well be some sort of subjective hallucination.
the power of belief.
Power of belief is very, very important. We do know that some of the work being done, especially on the East Coast, has found that a person's belief system influences the way they see ghosts. So if, and in the Middle Ages, if you look historically, people were seeing the devil and demons everywhere because that was their belief system. They saw something out of the ordinary and immediately assumed it was a demon. We kind of are cursed with the same thing, though we like to see it as something from a TV show or movie. So we're getting all that kind of bleed through. It's our own belief system, which has to do with what we're seeing. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe there's real events going on.
Right.
We just as yet don't understand them.
Gotcha. Richard, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our first commercial break. We'll be back shortly. Exo Nation. Richard Sennett is my very special guest this hour. His website is www.richardsennett.com. Just a quick note. If you'd like to find out more about Simul TV, if you'd like to be able to watch the X-Zone TV channel and all the great programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X-Zone TV channel, go to www.simultv.com. All the information is right there. www.simultv.com. Richard Sennett and I return on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
We live in rapidly shifting times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. Such profound change brings a unique opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of Mission Evolution Radio Show, a program that explores the latest scientific developments and deepening spiritual truths supporting human evolution. Join me on XZBN.net, where I interview leading experts in science, physics, medicine, spirituality, and more. By applying divergent viewpoints to leading-edge topics, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truth to assist you on your path to enlightenment. More information and past episodes are available at missionevolution.org.
Welcome back. Richard Sennett is my special guest, www.richardsennett.com. Richard, how do you do an investigation yourself? If all the modern technology really isn't cutting it when it comes to investigating the paranormal, what systems or what techniques do you use that you can share with our listeners?
Well, first of all, I approach the subject as kind of a detective investigating a criminal case. I go and interview the participants, and I ascertain if I believe they're telling me a true story. And there are ways you can look at people, how they look back at you, if they cross their arms, if they lean towards you or lean away from you, if their stories change. I usually get them to tell their account at least 3 times. You know, I didn't get that. Could you get that from me again? And if the story changes, then it gives me a clue that this might not be a legitimate case. So that's the first thing I do. Next, I walk through the site just to ascertain if there might be a natural cause for the things that they've witnessed. I try to first eliminate the natural before I go to the supernatural.
Right.
Then after that, I start looking at their data. I start setting up a team, and I bring a team in, which has photographers, sound experts, and psychics. I have a blended approach. I use both the physical and the metaphysical in my approach to the subject. Also, I use the historical, which means researching the history of the site to see if any of the things that they're talking about might actually be something from the past of that particular site. But those are some of the techniques I use. Usually, I like to try to classify the ghost. There's only about 7 classifications. All ghosts will fit into one of those classifications. And so I find out if it's a haunt, if it's an after image, is it retrocognition, all these. I try to go down the list to find out what would explain what's happening. And then I try to solve it from that point of view. And then at the end, I write a report, and I meet with the people and give them my kind of prescription for what to do. Now, I do believe that some ghosts are spirits of the dead, but they're a minority of the haunting ghosts we get. They're just maybe 10%, 20% tops. Many of the ghosts could very well be images from the past, someone who lived at that site, someone who experienced some sort of trauma at that site. You have to look at it from all different sides. And then we try to get rid of the ghost if we can, or whatever they want. Some people don't want their ghosts gotten rid of. Oddly enough, sometimes the only prescription I have is for them to move away. And I've had to do that a few times, not many, but a few.
How many of the cases that you have investigated over the years, Richard, are actually what you and I were talking about earlier about being ghost hallucinations, that the manifestation of what is believed to be a ghost was actually by the person that has nothing absolutely to do with the paranormal?
Oh, very much. I would say at least 10%. And I had one case. A fellow came to me and said, my house is really haunted. I'm having ghosts poke me at night, and there are witches, all kinds of bizarre stuff. So he was desperate, so I came to his house. I set up a team. Psychics walked through. And these are very sensitive people. They felt zip, nothing. I went to his whole wrist and felt and got nothing. All of my equipment I brought registered nothing. It was completely normal. In fact, more normal than my own house. And finally, I told him to see a doctor.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not crazy. I said, no, I didn't say you were crazy. I said, just go see a doctor, get a checkup. they found he had a brain tumor.
Oh, my God.
And they did an operation and removed it. And it was pressuring the part of the brain that controls images and hallucination. And so because of that physical cause, once it was removed, all the ghosts stopped.
So it was a darn good thing he called you.
Yeah, they said if he had waited till more symptoms developed, it could very well have been life-threatening.
Gosh.
So don't always discount the physical. And, of course, the first thing people tell you, I'm not crazy. And, of course, in our society, sad to say, we have a stigma against people with a mental illness.
That is true.
I think totally wrong. And that causes people to resist looking for a physical health problem that might be causing it. They have to say, I'm not crazy, I'm the sanest person around. And, of course, there could be other explanations. Like this fellow, he wasn't mentally ill at all. He just had a growth in his brain that was causing pressure.
And I will say...
I think...
Yeah? No, go ahead, Richard.
I think that's what... I think that might account for many of the ghost sightings. Not all of them, not by a long shot, but at least some of them.
Richard, you and your team go into a property that you've been invited to by the owner. You get the information, and based on your experience and that of your team members, you decide that, yes, there is a ghost. How do you kick the ghost out? How do you evict a ghost?
That's a great question. That's a big number 5 question on my list. Most of the theories about ghosts, and this goes back to Dr. Hans Holzer, whom I had the good pleasure of meeting years ago, was that ghosts do not know they're dead. And all you have to do is tell them that they're dead, and they'll go away.
Wow.
Okay, that sounds like an easy thing. Go, you're dead, go away. No. See, they're on a different vibration than we are. So they can't hear us. They can't see us or really interpret what we're trying to communicate with them.
Right.
So one of the methods which I have used successfully in some, not all cases, but I've used it where the ghost is recognized as a person who has passed over, who continually does the same thing over and over again, habitual behavior. Okay, I was called up one night, and there was a business where this fellow who worked there his whole life had retired, and then was called back to work intermittently for them, and then he dropped dead of a heart attack. After his funeral, they'd see his ghost coming into work and going to his office. And they called me up and said, can you help? I said, okay, I'll assemble a team, and we'll see what we can find. I said, no, you can't come in. The owner of the business is a born-again Christian and doesn't believe in the supernatural. And he will keep you from coming in. You will be ejected. And so I said, okay, how can I get rid of a ghost if I can't go there?
That's right.
So I told the person, what you do is this. Go to his office, put up a nice cross and a memorial, put his name on it and his obituary and his picture, maybe with a little black cloth on it, with a little bit of writings like, we're sad to see you go, and put on your little altar some of his treasured items like paperweights or something like that might be around, and photographs of him. Well, they did that. They went in his office, they put the monument up. In fact, the boss saw them doing this. Said, what is this? He says, we miss our friend, and we want to honor his memory. So he thought that was quite, he was touched by their movement to do this. And by the way, none of them liked him. He was a real fussbut of a person. But they set this thing up.
Yeah.
The ghost was seen only one more time, coming through the front door, going down the hall, and into his office, where the shrine was. They followed him. The light was on, but there was no one there. and that was the very last time they ever saw him. And it's believed that he saw the monument, realized that he was dead, and went to wherever they're supposed to go when they're not here anymore. So after a month, they got rid of the monument, and the place was de-haunted. So it's an interesting theory, and it worked in that particular case, but I don't think it would work in every case. You have to know who it was and kind of why they would be coming back over and over again to a particular space. This is because his whole career and life was centered on the business. You could see why it would attract his spirit to come and still punch into work.
All right, Richard, stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation, Richard Sennett is my special guest, www.richardsennett.com. And Richard has a number of books that are available on Amazon.com. If you're into the paranormal, if you're into ghost hauntings, things that go bump in the night, Richard is the author that you'd like to read. Visit Amazon.com for Richard's books, and Richard's website is www.richardsennett.com. I'll be back on the other side with Richard as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond. You're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Demo.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and my special guest this hour is a good friend of the X Zone, the one and only Richard Sennett. His website is www.richardsennett.com. Rich, before we went to the news, we were discussing about that it is believed by investigators and by yourself, I believe, that a reason that a ghost may be in a certain place or continue to come to a certain place is that they don't know they're dead. Now, how can something or someone not know they're dead? They don't see the reflection in a mirror. They don't have to go to the washroom. They don't bathe. They don't change their clothes. How does this work?
Well, I think most of the people on the subject believe that the trauma of death is so awful that the mind creates kind of an amnesia.
Oh.
They forget that it happened. So this event, which was so awful, all of a sudden becomes forgotten, and they just continue to walk around and they think everyone's treating them like a jerk because they don't talk to them or pay attention to them. And so there also another theory is that when you see a ghost, it's not the whole soul of a person. It is a fragment of it, one part of their existence. Mm-hmm. The ancient Greeks talked about this as well. In fact, even the Egyptians had the Ba and the Ka, two forms of the spirit that would actually break off when a person died. So it could be that what we're getting is this after image or shell of what it is. Of course, all this is speculation.
Sure.
We don't know. No one knows for certain. But it's a working hypothesis.
Is it possible, or have you heard, or have you experienced yourself being touched by a ghost? And are you or your investigators in any danger while doing an investigation? That is
good question.
Yeah.
Now, there are dangers to ghost hunting. I would be a fool to say different because we're walking in an unknown country. But so far, all of the people who have died on ghost hunts were caused by their own stupidity or not taking proper precautions, such as one guy investigated an old house in New Mexico. Him and his wife, she got very sick because the house had mouse droppings in it from the mice who were living there, and it got an infection in her lungs, and it killed her. Another ghost hunter was trying to get the ghost train on this trellis track. Unfortunately, he was on the track, and a real train came and hit him, and he was killed.
Holy cow.
That's the kind of thing that can happen to ghost hunters. In fact, I always tell people I fear the living far more than I fear the dead.
Yeah.
And I've gone to some pretty wild places where there were gangbangers and drug deals going down, and that was far more dangerous for me than a ghost might be. I've had people pull a knife or a gun on me at certain places. Fortunately, I'm still alive, but I have been touched by a ghost. But so far, it's just been an icy touch, like an ice-cold hand that has been soaking in a bucket of ice, touching you. That's just all I've gotten. I've never been cut or scraped or pushed downstairs, though I will admit, once I fell through a trap door and nearly lost my life. But did the trap door just give way? Or did the ghost manipulate it? I don't know. But all these people with these scratch marks, it's very dramatic. But I have never had that happen. Now, I did go to a seance where the people were contacting the so-called spirit of Jesse James, the outlaw. Oh. And this one fellow in the circle was a sheriff, a local county sheriff's officer, and he said that something hit him in the face. And I was there and saw his head jerk back, and I did see blood come out of his lip. Now, I did not see. In fact, I even challenged Jesse to hit me. I said, "You're nothing but an outlaw, a bandit. Hit me. If you want to hit someone, hit me. Don't take it out on this lawman." And I got nothing. Nothing happened to me.
Was
this possible?
Yes. I was just going to ask you if the sheriff was in uniform.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
And he was the boyfriend of one of the girls who was being haunted in this house by Jesse James.
Wow.
And that's why he came. And it was an interesting case. Now, from what I gathered from the seance, the ghost didn't really know very much about Jesse James at all. In fact, I even asked him some pertinent questions about, what was his mother's name and what kind of gun did he use and such as that. And he used a Remington, if you'd all want to know. And so he didn't know that.
Wow.
The ghost didn't have it. So I think if there was a spirit possible, it was someone taking on the identity of Jesse James and not really the famed American outlaw.
Why is it, Richard, that some people have the ability to see ghosts or feel their presence or get touched by the ghosts, and other people go through their entire lives living in what are supposed to be haunted houses and never have an experience?
Very good question. I think if some of us have the ability, something in our brains or our makeup that allows us to see these things. But I also believe that everyone, under the right circumstances, in the right frame of mind, can see a ghost. It is not something that only a few so-called psychic people can do. It's something that anyone in the right frame of mind can do. I know a lot of skeptics who've lived lives for years, never saw a single ghost, all of a sudden see something.
Yeah.
And that changes their attitude very quickly. I know I had that happen when I saw my first ghost. I didn't believe in them until that came about. But having had that experience, it caused me to really wonder about the things that I was taught to believe, the things that are out there. And it's really a much vaster universe than we think.
That brings up a good question. How many ghosts have you seen in your career as a paranormal investigator?
Oh, I actually keep a list.
Really?
What I was trained as an archaeologist. As you may or may not know, archaeology is the most anal job in the world. You measure everything. You record everything on a site, be it a tiny seed or a bead or any number of things. So I use that technology that I learned as an archaeological student in my ghost hunting. And so I've had 37 encounters with ghosts. And I grade them all on the best encounter, which has multiple witnesses. So it isn't just me seeing something, it has at least 5 other people. And I've had a number of encounters where it's just me. And those, of course, I give lower weight to because I could have imagined things, I could have hallucinated, I could have had indigestion, whatever. And so, but I have had these experiences. They don't happen a lot. In fact, you got to consider I've been doing this for 40 years, so that's not even 1 year. And I've had these experiences, which, by the way, I record, mark the times down, what I saw. I try to draw a picture of it as much as I can, mark out where the thing was and what it was doing and where it moved to before it vanished. I'm very conscientious of recording as much data as possible. In fact, that's what I tell all my students when I have them. Save the data. Write down everything. Right after you see a ghost, the first thing you ought to do is grab a pencil and paper and sit down and write exactly what you saw. And then if you can, draw a picture, even if it's crude, of what it looked like, what it was wearing, what it did. Did it move its right arm or its left arm? What kind of hat did it have? All of these minor details, which are fresh in your mind when you see a ghost, you tend to forget as the time passes.
Sure.
And, of course, every time you tell the story, the ghost gets a little bit bigger and a little bit scarier and a little bit more like something you may have seen in a movie.
Right. Rich, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our final break. We'll be back in a few moments. Exonation,
Yep.
Richard Sennett is my special guest this hour, a good friend of the Exonation. His website is www.richardsennett.com, and Richard's books are available on Amazon.com. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and this is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And we come to you 5 nights a week from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, iHeartRadio, Simul Radio, and Simul TV. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour with our guest, Richard Sennett, right here in the X-Zone from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
The concept of a new age has been around since the late 19th century, yet much of its original meaning has been lost. What exactly is the new age? Is it a religion, a collection of obscure esoteric practices, a series of doomsday predictions, or an astrological event? The New Age Chronicles is a unique, complementary publication bringing reason and grounded information to separate fact from fiction. Chock full of valuable information to support you as we make the monumental shift into the new era. You won't want to miss a single innovative issue. The New Age Chronicles newspaper is coming soon to www.newagechronicles.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Richard Sennett is my special guest this hour. His website is www.richardsennett.com. First of all, Rich, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure having you with us. And thank you for sharing.
It's great chatting with you.
Thank you for sharing your 40
It's
some
great chatting.
It is. It's like, we'll have to do this once again like we did in Las Vegas, except this time it'll have to be in an Irish pub somewhere.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Rich, I was kind of surprised to hear that there are ghost dogs. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, there are lots of them.
Really?
Ghost dogs are, in fact, there are two animals that come back as ghosts a lot, horses and dogs.
Wow.
Now, there are other cases of cats, ghost cats, and there are some bizarre, strange ones like bunny rabbits and badgers and stuff like that. But the most cited ones are dogs and horses. And I think that's because, man, there's a strong relationship with these pets, the dogs and the horses. Mm-hmm. And as such, there's a bond which doesn't seem to be broken by the passage of death. And there's all these stories of ghostly dogs that I keep finding them in my files over and over again. And now I'm even considering writing a book called Ghost Dogs of California.
Wow.
And I may expand it. It might become Ghost Dogs of America, or who knows, Dogs of the World.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
Can you share a couple of stories with us?
Oh, yeah. Have you ever heard of Rex, the hero dog from Temecula, what is the name of the town here? Truckee, Northern California. It's very up in the mountains, the whole gold rush town, full of snow and ice. In fact, that's where Charlie Chaplin made his movie about Alaska, the gold rush, because it's covered with snow.
Right.
And so people would get lost in the snow, and this guy was a ranger, and we had this big dog named Rex, and he would go with the dog out to save people's lives and bring them back from the wilderness. And he made this one old hotel his headquarters because it was the closest building to where the people would go. And, okay, he was a hero dog. Everyone gave him medals. Well, he passed away, as all dogs do.
Yes.
And guess what? He comes back. He comes back when it's snowing and when people are in trouble. He comes back to the old hotel. And sometimes he whimpers to alert people that people are out in the snow in trouble. So that's a great story. I think I want to do some more research and interview more of the people who claim to have seen this particular dog.
There must be also ghost dogs when it comes to the brave men and women of the military who use, who are partnered up with canines, as well as law enforcement officers who use canines in the execution of their duties. Richard, are you there? I think we've lost Richard Sennett, X-Zone Nation, and it happens sometimes. Maybe he'll come back. I don't know. Maybe the ghosts got him. But our guest this hour, Richard Sennett, his website is www.richardsennett.com. We've been talking about ghosts, and Richard is one of the foremost authorities when it comes to ghosts, things that go bump in the night. Let me see. He's a world-renowned paranormal author, lecturer, and investigator who has appeared on television specials and numerous internet videos speaking on the subject of the paranormal. He is also famous for his ghost stories and some original and other stories that are recounted from the locals who heard them from their ancestors. I had the pleasure of meeting Richard in, it must be 10, 12 years ago now at an exhibition in Las Vegas, Nevada. That was at one of the hotels there. And also there was Jeff Belanger, a heck of a good guy, and anyone who knows anything about ghosts, things that go bump in the night, has heard the name of Jeff Belanger or has read his books, watched his TV program. He's a consultant on many of the programs. So, Jeff is there. let me see, who else was there? Patty Starr was there as well. Chip Coffey, the psychic. And it was very interesting being around these people and listening to their stories of the work that they have done in the paranormal. We've done a lot of symposiums, exhibitions, broadcasting of the X Zone radio show. We've done a few TV specials from them as well. But I think the one that will always stay fresh in my mind is one that was at the International Center in Toronto, Ontario. And this is going back, 1994, I believe. Good friend of mine, Marty McLean, who was one of the key players in the success of the X Zone as well as the X Chronicles newspaper. We went to this exhibition, and we got there rather early. It was about an hour before the exhibition opened. And at the very back of the exhibition hall was where there was an area for the exhibitors, for coffee, donuts, and so on and so forth. Well, we walk in, and there's all these psychics. There's about 15 of them. And they're all saying, so how, do you think it's going to be busy today? Do you think that we're going to see a lot of people? How do you think we're going to do it? And I looked at Marty, and I said, they're psychics. Shouldn't they already know the answer? And many of you who've watched this show or listened to the show over the years know that when it comes to psychic phenomena, the paranormal, I sit on the fence. Because as a journalist and a broadcaster, it is not my job to go one way or the other unless I'm pushed by the guest. There was one guest we had who was a medium, and she said that she was getting a message from the other side for me. And I said, well, who is it? And she said, wait a minute, I'm getting it. It's a young girl who's on the other side, who's no longer in this plane. Oh, wait a minute, Rob, it's your sister who passed away. And I said, really? My gosh, how could she connect with my sister? I said, well, what is the message? And she said, well, Rob, she misses you, she loves you. And she went on for about 3 or 4 minutes talking, and I'm watching the clock. Craig is telling me, all right, Rob, you've got 2 minutes. I said, okay. I said, I want to thank you very much for letting me know what you got from the other side, but it's now that I have to tell you that I don't have a sister. I have never had a sister. And, this just went to prove that this is why people do not have all the faith in the world in mediums. And as soon as I said that, Craig fired off a button of a shotgun. And once the shotgun blast was over, the toilet flushed, and Craig played Another One Bites the Dust. We also had a lady who came to the studio, a psychic, who brought her psychic goat with her. Now, you've got to imagine this, that a goat being led on a call, like a dog, into a TV studio. And goats go to the washroom a lot. They really do. And the technicians and the floor director and the producer, as well as the maintenance people, were not very happy with me that day, understandably. But we were all curious. How do you get a reading from a psychic goat? Well, this lady put 2 bowls on the floor. One bowl was green, and the other bowl was red. And in each bowl was food. And I said, all right, how does this work? And she said, well, I asked the goat a question, or you ask the goat a question, or your callers can ask the goat a question. And it has to be a yes or no answer. Because if the answer is yes, the goat will eat out of the green bowl. And if the answer is no, the goat will eat out of the red bowl. But you see, the strangeness just does not stop with mediums and psychics. There was the guest who called in from Alberta, and he said that there used to be UFOs all the time over his property. I said, so what did you do? And he said, well, I went to Canadian Tire and I got myself a car battery, a battery charger, and a bunch of red lights, and I connected them all together. And I said, so what happened? I thought maybe it exploded or something. He said, well, ever since I put those red lights out, I've never seen another UFO. I could tell you stories. In fact, what I'm going to do one night is I'm going to get a hold of Marty McLean to come down to the studios with me, and we'll tell you some of the stories about real events that we have both encountered while doing the X Zone radio and TV show, as well as the X Chronicles newspaper. If you think, I agree with Richard Sennett, who said that, the living do more harm than the dead. And we'll explain that in detail with my buddy Marty McLean when we come down, and we'll do a show, like I said, on X Zone outtakes. Let's call it that. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. For those of you who are on the X Zone Broadcast Network, and for those of you watching us on Simul TV, stay around. We have more coming your way. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.